VolQuest on 3 Vol Network, who joins us. What's up, Brent? Good morning.
Good morning, fellas. How we doing on this Friday?
Oh, we are excellent. It has been good to move on to a new football game. But let's talk a little bit about Georgia, Brent, because
I was going to say, really?
I know.
Have we really moved
Ramon and I, Brent, have looked at each other so many times like, oh, all right, we got to move on. We got to move on. How's the team been this week? Because I'm curious just the mood and the mix of anger you let kind of hover to motivate you, but also they got to move on because they got bigger fish to fry now the rest of this football season.
Well, I think you like the fact that you're playing because that makes it easier because you get back into your routine. And two, I think you like the fact that you're playing a team you're heavily favored over. So I can tell you that I think this team has done fine. You could hear it in Miles Kitselman's voice on Monday. He wasn't there yet. Joshua Josephs on Tuesday was getting there, but I would not say he had completely turned the page yet. Of course, he's a Georgia native. So this one's been hard. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it should be hard. I think that's what Josh Heupel said after the game on Saturday. I mean, if this doesn't fuel you, if you don't soak this one in, and it doesn't bother you for a bit, then we're not sure who we're going to be or who we can be. So I think this team is getting there. But again, I like the fact they're playing Ramon, and I like the fact that they're playing an opponent they're heavily favored over.
When you look at this passing offense, Brandon, just the historically good things that happened in the first quarter last week and what you're trying to build on at this point, all the offseason tweaks, it felt like we were kind of waiting until this game to really learn what a lot of the new stuff was. What impressed you about this offense, about the scheme, and the way that Josh Heupel, with the help of some new faces on that staff, which one of them, an old friend in Jim Chaney, I saw the reports about today, or yesterday, of course. What impressed you about what is different, Brent, about this offense?
Well, the fact that they completed 14 straight to start the fourth quarter, which they haven't done against routes versus air in any practice session in the month of August. I mean, it was a show. I think it's the fact that the receivers can play any of the three positions, and they're moving the receivers around the way they want to. And listen, I love Jim Chaney. He's had nothing to do with that. This is the stuff that Joey Halsley, Josh Heupel, and Landry Jones, and Seth Luttrell. This is what these guys have all been working on since January. And we knew the pistol was coming, and so you're like, okay, that's great. They've got the pistol in. But what about the passing game? And you kept hearing there were some tweaks and some adjustments to some routes, but the reality is there's been a lot of adjustments to the route tree. There's been a lot of adjustments to what they're doing with receivers. And part of it is they've gotten them closer to the line of scrimmage. They've motioned them some. They've made them more interchangeable than they have been. And they got a quarterback who sees the football field and can get them all the football. So what was I impressed about in the first quarter? Just how multiple they were in what they did in the passing game. How more, I don't want to say advanced, but how much more broad it was of a passing game. It was not the two guys go line up outside the numbers and we've got a slot receiver in the middle of the field and we're going to run switch routes and we're going to run the comebacks and stuff you've seen for 4 years. There was a lot of variations to a lot of stuff in there.
I'm joined by Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's and on 3. Hubbs, when you look at the characteristics of this Vols team too, is physical. Did you see training camp being that physical for these guys, man, and how they're approaching the games each week that they've played? You can't say they're not backing up the offense with that is soft or that is up in space, man. That's a perception I think needs to go away fast.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know exactly what they would look like. I mean, they went 2 days on, 1 day off in training camp, and so you kind of wondered. Now, the belief was that this offensive line was going to be better because they were, quite frankly, more talented. I think I talked about it in August. They're bigger, they're longer. I think they're more athletic. But listen, I mean, Wendell Moy's a better player than I thought he was going to be. I didn't scout him at Arizona when he transferred in. I didn't know what all he could do. Lance Hurd's in a contract year, and he's playing like it's contract year for him. Nobody's talking about Lance Hurd, which is an absolute win. And then Jesse Perry's the story of the offensive line. We all thought that, when people said, hey, he could win this job, you're like, hey, that's a good story. Well, he's gone beyond winning the job. He's arguably their most consistent guy, or one of their most consistent guys up there. So Sham Umarov's the biggest surprise. of all of them because you thought David Sanders was going to be there. But listen, this group, I mean, this offense has always run the football, but what they're doing at the line of scrimmage and pass protection has been really impressive because they're not having to help. I mean, think about it. You're sitting here, yeah, the running back's got to pick up a blitzer, an extra body. Tight end's got to pick up an extra body. But you're not sitting there going, man, we better get help on the left tackle side. He's having a hard time with that edge rusher. We need a chipper. We need somebody over there that can chip. Or you say, man, we've moved Jesse Perry out to right tackle. Man, he's got to have help over there. Right. They haven't had to do that to this point. Now, maybe there's a pass rusher or two coming down the pike. You have to do some stuff with that. But right now, you bring 5, we got 5, we feel totally comfortable blocking you up. And because of what they've been able to do through 3 games, which is impressive.
I think that is the biggest surprise. If you'd have told me against the Syracuse defense, the way I think of Fran Brown and how he played last year, and against Georgia, to not have a contact sack, the one sack that you have on the season is an intentional grounding. Hubs. You would have told me, Ramon, you're fired. You'd have said something to me if I'd have predicted that. But it also, Hubs, too, that's one thing. But you set yourself up for next year because David Sanders eventually is going to go to the left side. Jesse Perry could stay at right.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, you got to feel good with the questions of 2 coaches, man, Kelsey Pope and also Glenn Ellaby, to I guess at this point, they've somewhat helped solidify themselves as legitimate SEC coaches and recruiters. Would you say that that's the case for those 2 guys?
Well, I mean, I think Glenn Ellerby as an X's and O's guy has solidified himself several years ago. The fact that he's playing some guys they recruited and he's going to play another one in David Sanders helps. And then I think the biggest win right now is Kelsey Pope because of the way these receivers are playing in their second year in the system. The development of Mike Matthews, the development of Braylon Staley, obviously the development of Chris Brazzell, which is the most impressive of the 3 considering where he was just kind of mentally at the end of last season. But here's the thing too. What's different also is the guy throwing the football. And, that helps. We all, if you're an offensive lineman, you all like a quarterback who gets the ball out of his hands and doesn't sit back there and eat the ball. Doesn't pat it, eat it. It's gone or he's gone, one or the other. Look, pass protection's been really good. It's not been perfect, but he's helped make it look perfect. He's gotten himself out of some trouble. Why is suddenly Chris Brazzell catching more balls? Well, how many more balls are catchable to him vertically down the field than what they were last year? So I don't think, while those guys are playing well, and they deserve all the credit in the world, it sounds like a coach when you say all 11 guys have to be on the same page or it doesn't work. The reality is that the receiving core doesn't work if the quarterback's not playing well. Pass protection doesn't work as well if the quarterback's not playing well. And the quarterback is playing far superior to what any of us thought he would be playing when he arrived here back in the summer.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's on 3, your guest this morning on Ramon and Will. It is time for our David Sanders Minute, Brent, as we ask the weekly question. I know it's up in the air, but we've got to ask it, as you know. Any update and any optimism that he'll be on the field tomorrow?
I would be surprised if he's on the field tomorrow because he's just not practiced. I do think there's some progression in the right direction with David Sanders from a recovery standpoint that creates some optimism over the, maybe next week or certainly coming out of that open date. I think there's finally some movement in the right direction. I think he's continuing to be further evaluated and having doctors look at him, specialists look at him, and that's just all protocol of what you're doing. Continue to be tested every day, and I think the tests have probably shown some improvement this week. Is it enough for him to play? I would be surprised if that's the case, but I do think there's some maybe light at the end of the tunnel, kind of moving in the right direction, but clearly no timetable has been presented at this point in time. So we'll see. I think for David Sanders to play and be a factor, he's going to have to practice a week of football. It's hard for me to say, hey, man, he gets cleared Friday morning or Saturday morning, dress him and go play him, because through all of this, it's not like he's been practicing every day and then you get to Friday or Saturday morning and you say, okay, we're not going to clear you to play. He really hasn't practiced since the Wednesday prior to Syracuse, not at full tilt. So, for a freshman offensive lineman to miss a month of work, I think he's got to have some work under some practice time under his belt, so to speak, before you're ready to just throw him back out there. So I think you could ease him back out there if he doesn't get more practice time before you just say, okay, David Sanders is back. It's a Thursday. He's our starting right tackle on a Saturday. That's a hard ask for a guy who's never played at the college level.
Brent, how much optimism is there that Tennessee gets its 2 defensive linemen back for Mississippi State, David Hobbs and Jackson Moy?
By the way, I can't believe neither one of you crushed me for going over a minute on the David Sanders minute. But
no,
anyway,
it's what I want. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Jackson Moy is. I think Jackson Moy will definitely be back for Mississippi State. I would be really surprised if he's not. And Davin Hobbs is 100% in his mind back from Mississippi State. That's been the date he's had targeted. Now, he's still got to get cleared. He's still got to get going, and turn loose that way. But he is running. He's running in cleats. He's rehabbing. And in his mind, he's playing football in Starkville, Mississippi. Now, that'll be the medical people's decision ultimately at the end. But in his mind, I can tell you he thinks he's playing.
Well, all he got to do is go in there and flip some tables over, and they'll up that point.
David Hobbs, Jesus in this situation.
Hold on a second. That sounds like a personal experience moment for you. Is there something we need to know, Ramon?
No, let's just say I probably went out there a few times I shouldn't have. Okay, Hubs. That's all that is.
I just wanted to imagine the kindness and the big teddy bear of you flipping over some tables for those poor old trainers, man. For Jason McVay and that crew, you're throwing stuff at them in the training room. I just wanted to kind of visualize that this morning. Right?
That wasn't my thing. I was a rule follower, man. Us 3 stars, we don't get those type of perks. I'm not lying, Hubs.
Well, I understand you think you're a 5-star now because you think you get all the perks.
Listen, I'm asking for them now, Hubs. I might pass some of my perks to you, okay?
Hey, I'm all in then. 5-star plus. I'll be your agent. I'm good. Let's go. What do we want today?
Well, first up, getting some NIL with Petro, okay? All right. Where's Jamon McCoy, man? And we just need to just stop asking about Ricky Gibson too. Both of those on my mind too, Hubs. How we feel about those two?
I don't think you need to ask about Ricky Gibson anytime soon.
Okay, I'll take that.
At this point, okay. Jamon McCoy, he has not done team stuff on the practice field. At some point, he's going to have to take a little contact, I think, before you let him go back out there. Not going to play this week. It's hard to imagine him bouncing back next Monday and suddenly being ready for Starkville, Mississippi. So I'm kind of looking more towards maybe Arkansas coming out of the open date as kind of the best case scenario for him. I think that the narrative that he doesn't want to play or that he's setting out is an unfair narrative. This guy's engaged with his team. He's helping the young guys. He's rehabbing and trying to get there every day. He wants to play football. I think he understands he needs to play football and show that he's back. So he's trying to get there, but there's still another hurdle or two for him to clear. And the next hurdle in my mind is he's got to get into team periods and practice and go through some team stuff, which he's not done to this point.
Man, I saw in the war room, man, the leadership this week. You mentioned Josh Joseph and Miles Kitzman. Do they have the proper leadership to attack UAB this upcoming week? I mean, they got a quarterback that's slinging the ball around. He's over 70% completion. They're going to have to smother UAB. Trent Differs lived here in this city, man. He's a competitor. This team's going to be physical. What has the leadership been like for this group, man, going into this week up to now?
Well, I think they've said all the right things. I mean, I think they've done what they need to do, but you still got to go play. And you've been in these situations where, everybody can say all the right things, but do you have the juice that you need to have on a Saturday morning at a 12:45 start time when, listen, the crowd will be there. It'll be a packed Neyland Stadium, but it's not going to have the intensity that it had last week. We all know that. I mean, so you got to make your own juice a little bit. And I think defensively, they're going to have to play in space. They're going to have to play better in space, Ramon, than they've played to this point. You go back and look, what did Syracuse do? They threw it sideways a good bit of the time and kind of got angles and edges and alleys and leverage and all those types of things on you. We certainly know Georgia did this, and I think I'm going to steal a I'm going to steal a stat from our friend in Nashville, Doug Matthews. I think Doug's the first one who noted this. Georgia, 70% of their offensive snaps or around there basically were run plays or they were throws at the line of scrimmage, down the line of scrimmage. So, and they still put up, 400, nearly 500 yards of offense or 500 yards. I mean, Tennessee's got to play in space better defensively. I think obviously you want to get after the quarterback, and certainly you got to play better on the corners, on the deep stuff than what happened in those two plays on Saturday. But you look, a lot of missed tackles in the open field at the line of scrimmage, whether it was a nickel, whether it was a corner, whether it was a safety, whether it was a linebacker. If I'm Trent Dilfer, I'm throwing it sideways right, sideways left until you show me that you can tackle me. And I think that's the test for Tennessee's defense when you look at them over the first 3 weeks. What stands out? You got to get off the field better on third down. Part of that, you got to play stuff. You got to play better sideways, laterally, than just the vertical stuff as well. So we'll find out, Ramon. I think this is a test. I think all the right words have been said, but you got to go out and execute and play.
He is Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's and On 3, Vol Network coverage, Tennessee and UAB. Ramon obviously on the call. Brent will be there as well on the sidelines tomorrow here on The Zone. Another weekend of Tennessee football. We are blessed, even if it is a game where Tennessee's favored by about 40. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you as always.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir.
Hubbs.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest's with us, brought to you by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. Got a couple more minutes to catch up on your Titans calls if you got them.